The part of the brain that I chose to present on was the amygdala. So the origin of the word amygdala comes from the Latin word amygdalum, which came from the Greek word amygdala. Both of these words mean almond. So the amygdala was named after the shape of the structure. The amygdala is part of the limbic system and is located in the medial temporal lobe, which is anterior, and it's anterior to the hippocampus. It is a paired structure, so one of them is located in each hemisphere of the brain. The overall function of the amygdala is processing of emotions and memories, especially associated with fear. This makes sense since it's part of the limbic system in the brain, which is the main component in processing emotions like fear and pleasure. Some important main functions would be the amygdala's part in emotion learning and emotional behavior. A good example of this would be Pavlovian conditioning, where a neutral stimulus is paired with an aversive unconditioned stimulus. With repetition, the neurons in the amygdala will be conditioned to change in stimuli. An example of this is the famous little Albert experiment, where the child did not fear the rat initially, but when they hit the metal bar, the aversive stimulus on repeated occasions, Albert was conditioned to fear the rat, as you can see in the picture. Another function of the amygdala is its role in formation of memories. The amygdala and hippocampus work together to make memories more memorable. This usually happens when the memory is particularly emotional. This can be a positive or negative function depending on the person's life, as emotional traumas can be very memorable and affect other brain functions since the amygdala is associated with many other areas of the brain. An example of this would be people with PTSD. These people's amygdala would be active more than others. Studies have also shown that people with PTSD have increased function in response to stimuli that remind them of the fear-related stimulus. Paired structure, which is talking about the left and right amygdala and their differences. So the right and left sides of the amygdala have independent memory systems that work together to store and interpret emotion. The left side, when stimulated, is able to induce pleasant or unpleasant emotions like happiness or fear, anxiety, and sadness, while the right side can only induce negative emotions. Other studies also believe that the left side is associated with the brain's reward system, which would make sense since it's able to induce both those happy or pleasant and unpleasant feelings. The right side is associated with negative emotion. This would mean it aids in the expression of fear and processing fear-inducing stimuli, like the example that I talked about earlier with Albert and the rat. It is also associated with declarative memory and the retention of episodic memory when associating time and places with emotional properties. Differences in the sexes in the amygdala. So studies have found that the amygdala is larger in males and females, in children, adult humans, and in adult rats. Women tend to retain stronger memories than males for emotional events in most studies. When males and females in a study were also shown a horror movie, they weirdly saw that the activity in the left amygdala in females increased, and for the males, the activity in the right increased. And lastly, I want to discuss amygdala hijacking. This is a term coined by the psychologist Daniel Goldman in his book Emotional Intelligence. Amygdala hijacking is an automatic response that makes a person lose control of rationally dealing with the perceived threat, as the frontal lobes, which usually deal with a lot of rationalization, are not being used. So this causes of this are due to the release of the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, and at this point people are going into this fight or flight responses, so a person's body may start to increase in blood flow to the muscles and have a rapid heartbeat, sweaty palms, and clammy skin. Examples of this amygdala hijacking many people experience in their life, so it would be like if your boss criticized you in front of your coworkers, and you're so angry that you yell back and quit your job. Some of these are kind of extreme, but others are a little bit more people experience these. A car would swerve in your lane, nearly causing an accident, and you have road rage. A happier example would be when you win the lottery and your excitement makes you scream and you're around people that you don't know, which you usually wouldn't do. Or one that I'm sure most people experience would be when you're trying for 5 minutes to open a can or a jar and you're so angry and frustrated that you slam it on the counter. Thank you.